Bear in mind, I can't remember. You told me how old you are. I can't remember how old it was. You don't have to tell me again. But I remember you were like somewhat young, like 19, 20. Um, Bear in mind, and it depends. However far you are in the process, you'll know. But like, it also depends on your like neurological makeup. But I will say that for me, like, digital girls only. It's like something that I did as a response to like emotional fallout, and actually resulted in a lot more emotional fallout over time. But then I adjusted to it. So just bear in mind, and it depends on the person. Like some people, it doesn't bother them at all. But for me, I had like a very difficult adjustment period. Like there's in your body wants another body. And there's some exceptions, but for the most part, that is true. So just bear in mind that it can be challenging. But if you're doing it, you're probably doing it for a reason, right? Like in retrospect, like a part of me is like, oh no, you shouldn't do that. You should talk to girls. But then it's like, I'm not at the point yet where I can look back on my life and say that I wish I did that. Maybe I will later, but I'm not quite there. I'm not quite fully ready to say that. I don't even know if I don't know. I don't know what's up with me really. I'm 19, turning 20 this September. During my sophomore year, I was 15 to 16. That's when I shut myself away from everyone. Exactly the same year. 2017 and 2016 for me. And that is exactly when I became let's just say self-sufficient. Not just sexually, but like in general, I was always kind of a loner, but like especially after that period, that's when shit really gets rough. Like I'm still to this day dealing with like psychologically with shit like that happened back then 10 years ago, and I'm really not the best when it comes to like emotional processing and stuff, but I've figured out how to survive, and I can tell you that is a source of a lot of I don't know, like just remember that the shit that happens back then obviously is gonna have an effect on you, but it's always possible to like change or get better or not be defined by that, or I don't know. It's hard to explain, and it's also hard because I'm saying that, and I'm low key so entirely defined by what happened back then. And I don't really change, so it's like I don't really know what I'm trying to say. I guess my point is like if things happen that put you in a certain place psychologically, uh, if you want to stay there, that's fine, or if you want to explore that, that's fine. But just bear in mind that if shit is not working, you can always. It's not easy, but it is possible to reprogram yourself, just in general. Like even down to not even the psychological shit, but also like your daily habits. I mean, that's what I'm doing by streaming, is trying to reprogram myself, because I'd normally just be sitting on my ass, and it's like I'm kind of getting in touch with my past self, 15, 16, what I thought was the ideas of things that I wanted to do that I didn't do back then because I just was out of it from like 15 to 25 basically. And only now am I like, oh, like I'm kind of just getting in touch with like, I don't know, who I am, what I want to do. I mean, the things that happen, especially like earlier in your life and during that time frame that we're talking about specifically, like they're going to be a part of your story, but it's like, okay, what's the next chapter? Like, what do you do with it? That's what you have control over. And you have to ask yourself, what do you actually want? Like I don't think I want to be in a relationship at all with anyone ever. And there's part of me that thinks about it. I'm always gonna have like a doubt about that. But like obviously, I'm 25 now. Nobody's touched me. I haven't touched anyone. So, fuck. Hold on. I hate it when they actually make me fight instead of talking. I've never really experienced love of that kind in general. I'm not just talking about sex. I'm talking about like everything like that, everything non-platonic. But people tell me to. People tell me to. I have arguments with people that I know about like basically almost everyone I know tries to get me to get a girlfriend or get laid or do something. But I really think that even though I have trauma around that, I think even underneath that trauma, I'm just not really somebody who wants to be around other people or have like intimate relationships. I don't know though, and that's what I'm trying to figure out, but I don't want to figure it out by being with someone because I don't want to do that. So it's like, okay, if I'm not going to do that, what am I about? What am I going to do? Because that's what most people do, so I got to figure out, if I'm not most people, what do I do? If any of this is making any sense at all. And it's like, okay, let's say that my true self, my true destiny or whatever is genuinely that I don't ever want to be with anyone, and who knows if that's true or not. But okay, if it is, one thing you have to be careful about is you do not want to be in a situation where, okay, let's say I was not, like I said, my true self, I'm just a solitary individual. I don't have sex. I don't want to, love any of that. Let's just say, okay, we're not going to worry about whether that's true or not. We're just going to say that. But what happens is, okay, if you have one strange thing about you like that, that's unusual, an eccentricity or anything. Fuck, what I'm trying to say is so difficult to explain, I feel like. When there's one thing about you that's different from, I just noticed that cat. When there's one thing about you that's different from other people, or that's weird, or that you consider weird, there is a tendency. I feel like I can't abstract this. I have to give you an example. Okay, I know I'm in my heart of hearts. I don't want to be with anyone. That's just not me. Okay, so like, let's say you jerk off, right? You just like jerk off all the time, whatever. But it's like, okay, in my case, for example, that and porn addiction might not be the same thing. Like my true self that doesn't want to be with anybody, and I'm not telling you what to do. I'm talking about myself. Yes, there's some similarities, but I'm talking about myself when I say this. If it applies to you, that's fine. Just because I'm not going to be with anybody doesn't necessarily mean that I have to be a gooner. And it's like, me being a gooner might not necessarily be my true self. That might be something that's been pushed on me by this world, or things that have happened. This makes no sense. Let's say that it's bad, but you think that it comes with the territory, but it might not, if that makes sense. And part of becoming, like, figuring out what's going on with you is kind of separating, like, for example, I don't know. Okay, this is so disjointed. I used to be depressed, like, badly for a long time, and I thought that that was integral. I thought that that was a part of me being a solitary person, but it turned out not to be. It turned out that I could actually be the way that I am without being suicidal or depressed or hating myself, at least not that much, and being down all the time. But I just thought before, I was like, oh, well, I want to be alone, and that just comes with the territory, because I'm a human being, and human beings want to be with other human beings, and when they aren't, they get, like, mental issues. Okay, that was my conception of it. That turned out not to be the case. So that's another example. Make sure that you are analyzing the different parts of yourself, and being like, okay, what's actually me, and what might not actually be me? What might not be necessary, or what have I maybe assumed, comes with the territory that doesn't. Like, maybe I don't have to be a gooner, maybe I don't have to have mental issues. Because that's my next thing, is that once I realized I don't have to have mental issues, I was like, maybe I don't have to be a fucking crazy gooner. And that's kind of turning out to also be the case. Just be if we're going to worry about self-actualization or finding your true self, or just figuring yourself out in the world, learning how to live your life. I remember there was a lyric in Reliant K song, College Kid or College Days or something, where he said, like, do what would make God happy, do what you feel is right, only but one thing matters, learn how to live your life. Sorry, just reminded me of that. But anyways, point is, oh, don't do this shit to me, dude. There we go. When you're learning how to live your life, just kind of be careful to be like, okay, not accepting something that is bad or a drain on you, or something you even feel unsure about, and not assuming that, I don't know, I'm sorry. I'm trying to make sense, but I'm also trying to play this fucking game. And I would love for this to be like a great short to clip, but it's probably not going to work like that. It's probably not going to make any sense. I might have to actually stop playing this and think in order to express myself here. But the best thing really that I can do, to abstract it, I have to really think. But the best thing I could do is to give you examples. Like, I didn't have to be depressed. I thought that I did, but I didn't have to be. I never considered that. I cannot stress enough to you how much I thought that I was going to always be depressed. And I say that about everything, but, like, I really did. Especially when you're, like, younger, you like, oh, I'm always going to be like this. Imagine feeling that way about depression, and you probably know. You probably have felt that way. I don't know if you've ever been depressed before. I can't remember if you've mentioned that to me, but if you have, you know what I'm talking about. And again, I don't know your life, and I don't know, if somebody's depressed, I can't tell them really shit about it. And I remember I hated when people tried to tell me shit about it. Sometimes it would click, but a lot of times it wouldn't. I mean, it's crazy what's possible. The human brain, the way that it can adapt is like absolutely insane. It's what makes us human. It's what makes us effectively as far as we're aware of, the defining creature of existence, really. And that might be hoity-toity to say, but like, I mean, can you give me another example? I mean, we are like the creature, and part of what makes us the creature is our mental resilience and adaptability. And when I say mental resilience, you might think, like depression, suicide, stuff like that, mental illness are examples of that not being the case, but all that stuff is the system poisons us in very specific ways for things like that to happen. I don't know if I would say that it's on purpose. I'm just, there's a lot of different things that cause depression too. It's not even just mental. Sometimes it has to do with your gut biome, what you eat. There's been times where, I don't know, man. Even that, you just have to, the first step to digging yourself out of in my opinion, digging yourself out of a mental hole, and it's extremely difficult, and who knows to what extent it's under your control, but I think I mean, I can't speak to what level of control you have. You have some control. We could debate how much, but you have some. And nobody else is going to do these things for you. So the first step that I found to digging yourself out of a hole, or like a certain way of seeing yourself, and it's not just depression, it's like everything, is to like analyze and be like, okay, what assumptions have I made? Because you have to make assumptions. I mean, that's just how, it's just a part of cognition. All logic has to start with an unprovable assumption. If you kind of look into that stuff, like how do we know we're not living in a dream? How do we know this? How do we know that? You have to, when you travel far enough up a branch of logic, at some point an assumption has to be made in order for you to work from it. So you have to make assumptions, but sometimes the assumptions hurt you more than help. If you find yourself stuck, you have to go back to your assumptions, and you might not even consciously realize something. And everything I'm talking to is like has nothing to do with any kind of like therapy or anything. Like all of this stuff I figured out myself, and I'm a wreck. But the fact that I'm still alive is something in the Bible about like clothing should be like of one type of fabric, and that you should never mix fabrics, which we've obviously gone to hell with as far as polyester is concerned. It was something like, if your garments have more than one fabric, that they have to be burned. It was some Charles Carroll live stream from like a while ago, like a clip of it that I saw that mentioned this, and it was like a metaphor for identifying like poisonous thoughts that are like not yours or not God or something like that. Ah, man, I wish I could remember what words he used. Identifying contaminated thoughts is what he said. That it's a metaphor for identifying like contaminated thoughts and like purifying, like recognizing contaminated thoughts, I guess. And there was something else I read about, like, I'm sorry, this is fucking nonsense, but I swear I'm getting at something, right? Like when I thought me being alone and being depressed are hand in hand. I mean, there is a connection. There was a connection between them, and there still is, but it wasn't necessary. That was like a contamination that had to be burned. I thought that they were the same fabric, but they weren't. I can be alone without wanting to kill myself. You said, check the chat, Sparks. I don't see any new messages. I see the one about 19 turning 20, and I talked on that one. So if you sent something, it must have gotten censored. My old school crush had 20 cocks in her mouth. Digital girls, on the other hand, don't do that shit. Damn. Well, thanks to the aforementioned school crush, sorry I wasn't seeing this, you gotta like, well, thanks to the aforementioned school crush, it basically put me in a 2D is better than 3D Gooner position, and I embraced it. If YouTube censored the school crush message, Tapple messages, I see them now. Damn, dude, I can't lie. It wasn't the exact same thing with me, but I did have, there's just a lot of similarities between you and me. There was a girl that I knew, And I remember because she was the last girl that I ever asked out, and I don't know how deep I want to get into it than this, but like it was just I had asked like several girls out, and then this was like the last girl. I didn't know at the time that it was going to be the last girl that I asked out, but it was. I don't know. It was just like a girl that I really thought that I had a chance with. Like I had been through, and there was more than just like rejection that was getting to me. I realized that in retrospect. But I had been through a lot. I almost feel like we should just go blonde with this. That might be cool. It just seemed like I had been through a lot in the past like a few years, like way back when I was like 15, 16. And then that happened, and that was like my last attempt, I guess. And then after that happened, I really started spiraling. Like that was the last time I asked a girl out, and I never did again. That's been like that's almost 18, 17. We're like almost 10 years on that. But yeah, that was like about like almost 10 years ago. And I don't know, man. And it's like partially I'm proud of myself for not doing like therapy or medication or any of that. I barely talk to anyone about anything. I have times where I like talk to like family members about stuff, but for the most part, I've just been on my own with this stuff. And there's like something fundamentally something with me. Like I feel like all the problems I've had have come from like the same source, but I don't know what that is exactly. I just feel like ever since I was born, there's just been something, and there's been like when as I grew up, I was probably I had some negative sexual experiences a little too early. I had some negative things happen. Parents divorced. Everybody's parents get divorced. I've had. There's been like different things that happened that messed me up, but it's just like I don't know. It's like okay, it's stuff that happened, but also like how did I react to it, and why did I react to it in the way that I did? But no, that's 20 is insane. Are we talking literally 20? Or is that an estimation or exaggeration? Or are we like quite literally 20? Like she had 20 boyfriends that you counted during high school? Because that is truly insane. Her friend told me she was dating 20 guys. The wording of that almost sounds like at the same time. When I asked her out, I also fumbled a bag, but that was because she asked me out of nowhere in lunch early in 2022, and I didn't know how to react back then. That must have made it even more painful. In the cafeteria in front of everybody. Wow. How do you feel? Like, do you feel like you might have missed a bullet, though? Right? I mean, if you can't be, and I don't want to like slut shame. Actually, I kind of do. 20 people is insane. Double digits in high school is brutal. I think double digits at any point in time is pretty crazy, but in high school is insane. I mean, I don't even know what to say to that. That's how do you even have that much time? I mean, okay, high school is 4 years, and I don't know when. Okay, let's just assume end of high school. So 4 years, that's 12 months each. I mean, just statistically speaking, this is insane. From a numerical perspective, I mean, a relationship I would think is like at least 3 to 6 months. Is she like whoring around? I guess she must have been. Because if we're talking 3 to 6 months per guy 20 times, what's the math on that mean? But surely you need to look at that as like you dodged a bullet. Because I mean, if you did get with her, I mean, that's the same thing that happened with me was that the girl that I wanted to be with turned out to be a fucking cheater. Now, I don't know if she had 20 bodies, but she was a cheater. And if I had been if she had said yes to me, realistically could have been cheated on. That and I tried asking out a white girl before the homecoming dance freshman year, but she was taken by this black kid who was a mega pimp yet had a Napoleon stature. Napoleon ass stature is crazy. That's fucking funny. That's pretty funny. I mean, that sucks. That sucks that happened, but also that's really funny that he was built like Napoleon. That if honestly that happened to me, I would have been sick about it. That almost makes it worse because it's like you can point at him and laugh, and be like, "Ha ha, short," but also like, "Damn, you kind of swooped in there, took the hoe I was plotting on." That's fucking. That kind of makes it worse in a way that you're short. I don't know how to feel about that. It's kind of like mixed feelings. Again, mixed signals off of that. Sorry about that, but also that's funny. Uh, Yeah, and to be honest, I still feel hate and spite towards 3D women for all the shit. I feel like you gotta say real women because you say 3D, like Lily is a free 3D woman here. This girl right here, you don't have anything against her, right? Lily's cool. I feel like you gotta say real, but I know what you're saying based off of context. Anyways, I still feel hate and spite towards 3D women for all the shit my school crush did to me, and 2D girls help me through that painful time in my life in late 2022, early 2023. Same here. Like when I was 19 to 20, I was like, those were probably like my peak incel MGTOW days. Call me morbid, but I've had fantasies about my harem of video game and anime crushes doing NTR with me in front of my school crush on the back of the bus in front of everyone. She runs off humiliated. For a hot minute there, I thought you were talking about you getting NTR'd, and I was like, that's crazy. Batman couldn't get that out of me. But you're saying that you and your crushes are NTRing her. Honestly, that's not even morbid. That's healing. That's self-care. That is morbid, though. That's fucked up, but it's, like, good. I think that's good. I think that's gotta be good for you. Yeah, in the view of normies, I'm pretty psychotic. Dude, even by my standards, that's pretty psychotic. That's funny, though. Hey, whatever gets you through it. That's the thing, too. Like, once you get to, like, your mid-20s, even your early 20s can be rough. My early 20s were extremely rough. Once you get to your mid-20s, that's when you can, like, analyze. Look back on your life so far and kind of analyze. And it's good to do that as early as you can, but mid-20s is where you pretty much do that automatically if you haven't already. And as much as I try to give advice to younger people, at the same time, you kind of just got to do what you got to do to get through it. Because being like less than 20, 25 years old in this world is fucking treacherous as hell. And yeah, I can give advice, but at the end of the day, you know your situation and you got to get through it. Because at 25, no, I'm happy I'm 25. I'm about to be 26, kind of scary. Anyways, you have like the frontal lobe. You have the frontal lobe to look back on things and analyze and figure out, what's up. But also, you're still relatively young, and you can make changes. Not that you can't make changes later in life, but I do think it gets harder to make changes later in life. And your mid-20s are that age where you've been around town, and you can kind of start to formulate a plan if you haven't already. And ideally, you do that as soon as you hit 20. But I'm not ideal, so like at all. I'm really not ideal at all. But definitely by 25, you want to start doing that. And I'm still, picking up the pieces. That's what 25 is about, picking up the pieces. If you're like me and you've been a total wreck, once you hit 25, oh my god. Once you hit 25, you can get situated. And I get what you're saying about 3D women. I mainly said 3D women for the sake of haha funny, 3D better than 2D meme. Yeah. It's all context, surely. I know you didn't mean to disrespect Lily. That's not what you're about. Or any of these nice 3D women that we have that save our lives. Because I genuinely would probably, if it weren't for waifus, from the outside it looks bad, but I assure you things would be so much worse if you didn't have that kind of influence in your life, Then it's like you have this ugly life and these beautiful waifus, and if you don't have the beautiful waifus, then you just have this ugly life. So a lot of people don't get it, and they don't have to get it. Oh, shit! But that's the way it is. Yeah, I remember back in the day I would have, my waifu as the wallpaper on my phone, and it just kind of helped me get through to the next day when I was fucking wanting to kill myself every second of every day. And no, if you get rid of the fucking anime girls and shit, it doesn't make you want to kill yourself less. Okay? It only does if you replace them with real women. And even then, you might still fucking blow your shit off. I remember, dude, that's one of the things that made me realize, oh fuck, that I could make it work. I was like, oh, I'm lonely, I'm depressed, suicidal, it is what it is, comes with the territory. But then I kind of, I've never seen her do that before, it's funny. Then I looked around and I realized there's so many guys that have girlfriends that are killing themselves, or are depressed anyways, and it's not like there's no connection, it doesn't matter, but it's just worth noting. Like, oh, like, this dude is not really much happier than me. A fulfilling relationship is a fulfilling relationship, alright? I'm not going to downplay that, but a lot of times it's not a fucking fulfilling relationship. A lot of times Yeah, I've seen some pretty rough things happen to people. Like I said, the guy that took my crush and she cheated on him. You know, that's crazy. Yeah, I missed a bullet there. And now, after that, dude, me and him were best friends. Uh, it was weird. It was like you would think I would have hated him, but it didn't really bother me. Even before I found out that she cheated on him, I don't remember just consciously getting upset about it or thinking about it that much. Maybe I did and I just don't remember, but I feel like I would. I think my brain probably just kind of blocked that out just as a survival tactic, because I'm surprised that didn't really deeply fuck with me. I can't, it's funny that I can't remember thinking about that at all. Anyways, that was just like kind of a back. There's certain things that I look back in retrospect and realize that it was working on me. Like something happened and it worked on me and I didn't even realize it. That might have been one of them. That's one of the things that made me realize, not just him, but just in general. It's like, oh, it's not that simple. Just because I don't have a girlfriend doesn't mean I need to, suck on a shotgun. There's a little more to human happiness and fulfillment than that. But it can be hard to see that when you're in the thick of it. And that's one other piece of advice I'll give to anybody who's dealing with, like, serious, like, mental issues. I talked earlier about I can't speak to the extent of how much control you have. I just know that you have some level of control. Because you have to. Because you're going to die if you don't. And I don't want to freak anybody out. But my point is, I think what happens is you don't always have control. And you get used to not having control because of that. Because if you're mentally struggling, a lot of times you don't have control. But you need to... One of the other ways you get out of the hole is by being ever vigilant of... Like, my theory is you have free will and you can make choices to get better, but not all the time. There's certain points where your brain and your soul, or whatever, is just too far gone. And that can be a window for a certain amount of time. But I think a lot of the time, like, I can't speak to the exact time frame, but you need to keep an eye out. God damn. Keep a radar active of when do you have free will, because sometimes you do. And if you can spot those times where you genuinely can make choices to better your situation and understand that maybe you're not going to be able to do that all the time, but that you need to be vigilant and notice when you can, and it's so hard to explain. But when you're in the thick of depression, like I was depressed and I would have like an awful time, but every now and then I'd feel better. Or every now and then I just have like a sense of agency. I think I'm overcomplicating it. My point is, you got to look out for those windows of opportunity. And I don't know what the signal is. I don't know how you know, but there's like... I don't know. Hopefully what I've said makes enough sense, because I feel like adding more words isn't going to help.